All right, guys, welcome to a very late weightlifting Wednesday. This is a lift that I'm going to let y'all see in full speed. One of our early lifters, she's been in the game a little over a year, I think, if I'm counting months right, and is progressing very quickly. But I want y'all to see this is 76 kilos. She is on a program that has her building jumping 3 kilos, so she had to make 76 in the clean and jerk in order to go to 79. And so she ends up in this video making 76 in the clean and jerk. We're not going to look at the jerk today, but then goes to 79. And the faults that I'm going to point out here in the clean show up at 79 and force her to miss the clean. Same faults that show up in competition that caused her to miss a clean that was relatively easy the second time around. So I want y'all to see this thing full speed, because at full speed, at 76, it doesn't look near as detrimental as I think I'm about to make it. But the point I want to make is, though it doesn't look crazy at 76 and looks relatively painless, she's able to accomplish the lift, that movement pattern that is wrong at 76 rears its head again at 79 and causes her to miss. That's what happens in competition. You may smoke an opener, but do it in such a way that the movement pattern isn't right, and when that movement pattern shows up again on your second or your third attempt, it causes you to lose an attempt. So let's watch this full speed, and then we'll go back and see what happens here.
Go. Easy, good. Hey, legs.
Okay, so that's the clean. You'll see that she has to take a step forward in the clean, so that's a telltale sign for a couple of things. But I want you to see what happens that's really good about this lift. So really, really strong leg drive off the floor. Very strong lifter. For those of you that have been around weightlifting a little bit, you know that there are two types of lifters, those that are super strong and compensate and utilize their strength in a big way in most of their lifts. You see that especially in the jerk. And then those that are super fast and compensate for a lack of strength or just not being as strong as their competition with incredible speed. Anna is definitely a strength lifter here. So this is a great position. I literally couldn't ask for a better one. Maybe a little more glute activation, keep those knees out a little bit. From this angle, I think that's what's going on, but that's minimal at best. Great position here. Good to hear. Right there. That's a great power position. I would tell you, we begin to see her rotating her feet a little early. So if I were to perfect this position, notice at the power position, my thought is 3 things. 1, feet flat. Well, you can see that her feet aren't flat, and that's a really important indication because it shows that she's rotating to the front of her foot early, so that the weight of the bar, I guess the weight of her body and the bar is moving and shifting to the ball of her foot, which is going to cause her to be a little forward with the barbell. The barbell track's going to move out away from her. The second thing I'd always want to see, which she does perfectly here, is a slightly bent knee such that she's kind of in an athletic position, which this is exactly it. Third thing is I want to see the shoulders even with the barbell, which we see that here. If you were to look from the side, you'd see that her shoulders are directly on top of the barbell. So the only thing that is bad about position is the weight's in the front of her foot a little early. The repercussions of that end up being here. Watch where she moves from this position. So in a perfect world, from this power position, I would have her move vertically with her shoulders. Bar would move vertically up her body. Her feet would go up and then kind of right back down, maybe move back like, I think the average is like 4 or 5 centimeters, right? Instead, what we see is she rotates backwards. So as a result, let's stop right here, right? As a result, what's that going to cause? Well, her body weight's going to go this way. Right, so her center of gravity, because of the way that she is moving, is going to go that way. Well, anytime her shoulders and her torso go that way, her hips react by moving this way, which means the bar reacts to her hips by moving this way. So that's what we see there. Right? See, notice that her body is moving backwards. Bar is moving out away from her here. You can see the separation right here. Right? And then as she lands, notice that jump back. Right, pretty significant jump back, even though, which is ridiculous, right, she's jumping backwards, going that way, even though the bar went this way, right? And so what's going to happen when she turns over? You can't see it from this angle, but the weight of the bar is centered way up in here, okay? Like if you were to see this from a side angle, you draw a straight line down, you would see that the weight of her bar is going to be over the ball of her foot rather than the middle of her foot. And here's how I know that to be true. Watch her stand up. Hits and stands. Look, the first thing that happens, right? Her hips shoot backwards. Why? Because the weight's forward on her foot, so she has to push, like she has to angle her torso forward in order to catch the bar. If she can't stand up with a vertical torso because the weight of the barbell is forward of her hips. So her hips go back, angle of her torso is forward, and you can tell that weight's forward because watch her step forward, right, to kind of save the bar. So solutions. Good position here. Everything's good here. I would say try and maintain downward pressure in the foot a little longer so that she's not up in the ball of her foot. And then from here, just move straight up, right? To be fair, Anna and I have had this conversation before. I try and get her to jump straight up and straight down. So she's going to drive straight up here rather than pulling back and away. And then as the bar goes up, she's going to move straight down underneath it and land with a nice vertical torso, bounce out of the bottom, make that clean much more efficient, which will then make the jerk a lot easier. Okay, if I had the 79 video to show you what you would see is she lands in this position right here, except the exact, what I was talking about with the weight being up in the front of her foot, it's even more up in front of her foot, out on her toes, and she ends up just dropping the bar right in front of her as she tries to stand up because she can't have a good base of support. Her midline just gets like out of position, and she has no ability to support that weight on her shoulders because her hips are way back here, and her body weight and center of gravity is way back here, while the bar is way forward of that. So hopefully that's helpful. Big solutions for you guys if you struggle with this. Keep those feet flat, maintain a downward center of pressure as long as you can. Drive straight up at extension, and then pull yourself straight down into the bottom of a squat rather than backing away from the bar.